Hey everyone, welcome to Smash and Grab Comics. It is once again Saturday night, 7 o'clock. Smash and Grab Comics, baby. It's Tyler sitting here across the table from me. I got on a roll.
Yeah.
Is TR.
Hello.
And across the old interwebs from both of us is the one, the only JP Jones.
Hi-oh.
How's it going?
It's good, man. How are you guys?
Good.
Good.
So before we get into the topic of the night, JP, I stopped by Rainbow about an hour ago. Dropped something off for your Christmas tree.
Yeah.
You want to show us here what? I mean, we showed off TR's finger. So do you have it there with you?
I forgot it at work.
Nice. Okay. So what it was a basically a severed tongue.
Awesome.
That was kind of glistening and gross.
Yeah.
I mean, like your finger. But I drilled a hole in it and put some twine through it. And
So he can wear
so
it?
that he can wear it like an amulet, really. I mean, because it's like yay big, or they can hang it on their Christmas tree. I mean, it's creepy Christmas after all.
Sure, beautiful ornament for the Christmas tree.
Right.
I mean, it's a 2020 Christmas. What's a severed tongue gonna do? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Have you guys seen these commercials? I don't know. I can't remember what company it's for, but it's the devil meets this
Match.com.
What is it?
Match.com.
Yeah, it's for Match. I think it's pretty clever, right? The devil meets this hot lady who's 2020.
They're brilliant.
Have you seen it, TR?
I don't see commercials
Okay.
anymore. The
So-
setup I have.
I have Hulu. Do you want to move your mic a little closer to you?
A little closer to me like that.
Yep, perfect. But anyway, so it's this guy that looks like the Dave Grohl. Remember Dave Grohl was the devil in Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny. So it looks like that Dave Grohl,
Okay.
but it's not. And it's this hot chick that he met online. And are you 2020? And she goes, actually, it's 2020. And then and it's a Match.com commercial.
Okay.
And I mean, that's kind of brilliant. I mean, this year has gone to hell.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and I don't know if you guys saw this in comic news. DC did announce that they're going to be scaling back in a pretty big way in March, which someone we know predicted that, and I'm sure he won't be smug about it.
Nope. I don't even know what you're talking about.
so DC, yeah. I mean, how many titles do you think they're going to put out?
I don't know.
12.
Did you think
Is
it'll
it,
be 12?
I heard 12.
I saw
Yeah,
that.
I think it'll be 12.
I saw that in a rumor thing, but I wasn't sure if it was actually confirmed. I haven't seen it anywhere confirmed, but
Yeah.
that would make sense.
That's just my guess. Somewhere around there. 12, 15
Yeah.
per month.
I don't know what I think about that. I mean, if they're going to scale back, just scale back and put out 5 good, solid titles.
I'm wondering if they're including Black Label with just 12 publications.
No, they're not, because the list that I saw was it looked like main continuity DC stuff to me. I mean, it had an Aquaman, there was Superman, Batman, Flash, Wonder Woman, and I don't remember the titles. They didn't have the actual titles, but there's going to be comics for those characters.
And one of the rumors that I've been seeing is that Wally West is going to be done with for at least for a while.
Yeah. I think once they're done with the future state stuff, that's going to lead into this cutback of all their titles.
Yeah.
They're going to cut out a lot of characters.
I think so.
And I think Wally West needs to go.
I've always liked Wally West. He's my actually favorite Flash.
Pick a Flash then. You know what I mean? Barry or Wally,
No.
Eobard Thawne, I don't give a shit, but just
Yes, you do. Nobody wants Eobard Thawne as Flash.
What's that?
Said yes, you do. Nobody wants Eobard Thawne as Flash.
No, they don't. But tonight though, we're going to talk do you want to talk about DC more?
No, I mean that was pretty much it. That was the news is that they're doing the big scale back coming.
We knew that was coming.
Yeah.
So for tonight though, we're going to talk about X-Men the animated series. Episodes, I don't know the episode numbers, but it's Days of Future Past part 1 and 2. Before we get into all that, this animated series has had a huge renaissance in the last few weeks even. And, I know that we have had nothing to do with that, but it's still pretty ironic that we get on this trip of we're going to review old episodes. And then all of a sudden the rest of the internet is too.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
And I will say, this episode,
Trendsetters, man.
Yeah. I wish that were true. We'd have way more numbers.
So one of the things,
Being mediocre is a trend. So
it is. I mean, mediocrity it's accepted widespread because of the ease of putting a show out there for everyone to watch. I mean, mainstream television isn't the avenue anymore, and any Joe Schmo with a computer can have a channel now. Literally have it.
Goddamn right.
It's even called a YouTube channel, and who wouldn't want that, And so you gotta wade through all the shit to get to the mediocrity crap, and when you find that, it's still hard to find the good ones out of it. Anyway, X-Men the animated series is having a renaissance, and I recently watched on YouTube that the original actors that are left did a video conference call with each other, Zoom call with each other, and they posted it on Facebook right after the death of Cyclops.
I forget his name now. I'm never gonna remember it.
Well, anyway, they all seemed really, really, really excited about the renewed interest in the series. So, without further ado, we are going to talk about Days of Future Past. The episode opens up in the future, 2055.
Right. It's New York 2055 is where it opens.
So we're still 30 years in the future from now. 35 years.
Yep.
And what we see is that the Sentinels are tracking down mutants, right? Well, we thought every mutant, and then we find out that right away we meet somebody new. It's Bishop. Right. So this is our second time traveling mutant that we've met. Anyway, go on. I didn't mean to take the reins there.
It's basically it starts off with Wolverine and two other mutants that we don't know running from Sentinels. The Sentinels, they get knocked out and one gets the slip on them, and Wolverine shows up. So they're all excited about having survived. And that's when this tracker shows up, and with his gun, he blasts them and gets all three of them, including Wolverine.
My favorite part, though, is like when this is all going on, one of the kids that's with Wolverine has arms like Colossus.
Yeah.
Right? He can turn his arms into steel, and he runs he kneecaps that Sentinel. Yep. I don't know if you guys noticed this. This felt so much better produced.
It did. There was something different with the animation as well. The drawing style was a little bit different. There was something different in a lot of this. This was the first episode where I felt like, all right, sweet. I'm cool with this. Let's keep going.
This is the first episode that I was into.
Yeah.
Like I was drawn into it.
Yeah. I was really digging on. This was the first episode where I went, yeah, that's right. This is why I love this show.
Yeah. JP, we're hogging the talking. What are your thoughts right off the bat?
Man. Not at all. Trust me, I've had a very long day, so holiday retail. I mean, it's just busy. So the Saturday before Christmas. So no, I'm totally fine, man. I'll chime in when I want to chime in, but I agree with you guys wholeheartedly. This is the upscale where the show starts to be not only like a quality increase, but like just an enjoyment increase because. It was 1992, but those first few episodes are just still like, you're watching it, you're just like, man, this didn't age well. And then you get to here and you're like, all right, it's pretty good. So.
I'm gonna pull it up on Wikipedia, just because I'm trying to remember because it was 2 episodes, part 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to make sure I get the
episode number.
No, I'm looking the literal plot.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean? Because I get bad about getting stuff out of order.
Yeah.
So
it starts with Wolverine being captured by
and he's a grizzled old man Logan Wolverine. He's got gray in his in his mutton chops.
And he even talks about when he kills that one Sentinel, must be getting rusty. Used to take these buckets down in half the time.
Yeah. Which is really cool. It was still Cal Dodd doing the voice, but you could tell he was older.
Yeah.
And so we meet Bishop, who happens to be a collector for the Sentinels. He goes around and picks up mutants and brings them to
a termination camps.
Yeah.
Like they don't even mince words. They literally call them termination camps.
Yeah,
and he talks about how they're going to get terminated for being, well, he keeps calling them rebels.
Yeah. And we don't know really anything about this future yet. And then when we also meet another character that's really big is Forge.
Right.
Took me a second.
But that's after. So Bishop is working for the, Sentinels, that group. And he shows up with these 3 new captures. And the Sentinels
they say, "Oh, you're out of."
We've reached your maximum payout, so we're gonna kill you too now.
Yeah, and
they don't need him anymore.
Yeah, that was what was crazy, and so they turn on him, and Wolverine's like, "Yeah, rookie, are you happy now?" Or kind of thing.
The timing of that, because literally as they're pulling up, Wolverine's saying, like, they'll turn on you, they want to kill all mutants, and then that moment, the Sentinels turn on.
Right. And then we also get to meet Nimrod, who is a huge character in the X-Men world. He is the next generation of the Sentinel.
He's a 3rd generation, I thought. He's a 3rd gen Sentinel. Yeah.
Okay, so they haven't shown it yet, but he is a shapeshifter, or they are in the comic books.
Mm-hmm.
So we meet Nimrod, we meet Forge, we meet Bishop. I mean, this was a big episode.
Yeah, this really was. And just like the regular Days of Future Past, there's the whole plot of going back in time. And the big thing that they're trying to do is stop an assassination that occurred in the 90s.
Yeah. So when they first start off and they get out of that situation where the Sentinels are turning on Bishop, right?
Right.
They get out of it and they take Bishop to their secret headquarters where Forge is working on a time portal, a time displacement kind of thing that Wolverine is going to go through to stop someone from killing someone.
Right.
That's all we know.
Yeah, they're really super vague on it for a long time about who's being killed and who's doing the killing.
Yeah. And so they talk about the tech a little bit, saying, if this thing comes off, you're going to be ripped back through time, back to where you came from. Kind of thing. And
there's a thing that he has to wear on his wrist at all times. Otherwise, he gets ripped back through time to his original time.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Sentinels catch up with them at the secret hideout. And in the melee, Bishop ends up going through the portal instead of Wolverine.
Right. Because Wolverine's just too old. He couldn't take on Bishop even. And it's revealed that whoever they're going after is an X-Men.
Yeah. And then when Bishop gets to our time, he immediately thinks that, or the 90s that he was going to, current time, he immediately thinks that it didn't work because he's in a scummy part of New York City, I'm guessing, or somewhere, maybe Washington, D.C. But he finds the X-Men kind of quick.
Yeah, he finds the X-Men pretty quick, mainly because of a newspaper. Professor X was giving a huge talk to Congress about the persecution of mutants that had been going on. And so he saw that in a newspaper, and the time travel, for whatever reason, fucked with his memory. So when he went back in time, he couldn't remember who exactly he was supposed to stop or what exactly he was supposed to do, but he would get little pieces.
Yeah.
And he saw the picture of Charles Xavier and the story about him giving the speech, and he's like, "Oh, it's the X-Men. I got to stop the X-Men. They're the assassins.
I gotta kill them. They're the assassins." Well, he didn't. He thought all of them were the assassins. He's like, "It's the X-Men. I'm gonna kill every single one."
Yeah. At first, he did think that because his memory was just not working right.
Yeah, and so it would have been much more helpful if he would have got there and knew exactly what he was supposed to do, but that would have made it kind of boring. Yeah. So he knows he's got to kill somebody. He is not exactly sure who he has to save, though.
Right.
He doesn't know who that person is.
Yeah, his memory is slowly getting pieced together, but mostly he has just sort of no idea what his mission is.
Yeah. And it slowly comes back to him. So he gets to the manor. And this is funny because the X-Men mansion has newly been rebuilt after Juggernaut destroyed it.
Right.
And now here comes Forge driving a bus that
Bishop.
Yeah. Who did I say?
Forge.
Oh, son
Forge.
Okay, so remember last week when TR said
It was
Smash and Grab
it
Comics
was
instead
good,
of
right?
Rainbow? That was
Instead
funny.
of what?
That was funny. That was funny.
What instead of what?
Rainbow.
Oh, it's funny you should mention Rainbow Comics Cards and Collectibles at 3310 South Minnesota Avenue in Sioux Falls, South Dakota,
3310. I don't know.
and
JP, what is it?
1401 Pine Lake Road, Suite
1501.
1501. Motherfucker.
Yeah. So
This is the perfect time to go get that special someone a comic book or a collectible or something sports related. They have football things. I think that's the one with the pointy ball, right?
they have baseball things. This is where I'm going to splice this for a commercial.
Actually,
JP, what else? What other kind of things do you have there?
action
Stuff.
figures.
Okay.
Pokemon
There's action figures, there's
cards.
comics, there's trade paperbacks, there's graphic novels, there's glasses and die-cast cars and cards and card games and
Board
board
games,
and
tabletop
tons of stuff.
games.
Beanie Babies. I mean,
All
it's
sorts of
collectible, you name
action
it.
figures, all sorts
Yeah.
of collectibles.
Yeah.
Transformers, GI Joe, all sorts of stuff, man. I mean,
So
it's a treasure, a cornucopia.
if you buy your comics,
Plethora.
if you buy
A
this is
everything
what I-
under the rainbow.
This is what I
Sorry.
love about Rainbow. Okay, there aren't a lot of comic book stores anymore that will have a back issue stock. They just don't want to do it for the space. They usually don't have the space or even the investment to even hang on to them, right? Because
And also, they
your
don't have the
return on
staff
those
to
take
go
a while.
through it.
yeah, and at Rainbow, John, how long was I there with John the Elder tonight?
John
Probably-
the Grader.
Probably like 10
Oh.
minutes going through old comic books, right? Because he's got X-Men comics, and that's kind of what I'm into now. And it's great. You know, it has everything I want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Old comics, new comics, everything.
Yes. And actually I'm getting into the Gail Simone Secret 6 run.
Are you?
And they were having a sale. So on back issues were included. So I got a whole bunch of them, and I got a couple extra copies because I have original art from issue 12 and issue 13.
that-
So I'm actually going to display those open to that page
Yeah.
as well as, closed with the cover.
That's awesome. I mean, here's my point is that, you could go out to eBay, Amazon, I mean, any number of sites and buy those comics. But if you're in the area, go to Rainbow Comics, Cards, and Collectibles and check out what they got for, hard to find comic books, a little bit more expensive comic books, and
Yeah,
just
they
everyday
do-
back issues of series that
Yeah.
you may have missed out on.
And there's also, I remember not long ago, I don't know if they still have it, but I remember seeing a Stan Lee signed comic book.
Oh.
They don't do a whole bunch of graded stuff, but occasionally they'll get some graded books. But they have some really old, amazing stuff. Like,
I like
I
it that it's
got-
not graded. I don't want my stuff graded.
yeah, I don't need. For me, it's about having the comic book, not
Yeah.
about having the
Pristine.
perfect.
I'll buy on eBay when I just said instead of shopping eBay, go to the store. But if I can't find it, and if I'm on eBay, I generally will buy the raw copy because I can get an affordable copy of maybe a 8.4 instead of like a 9.6,
Yeah.
And I don't mind those used copies because it shows that somebody gave a shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And for me, honestly, with a lot of those, I still like to read them. People get real mad when they hear that, but you
you like that being able to this was the actual one that came out that month, you know?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, me too. Anyway, should we get back to the story?
No.
Okay. Days of Future Past. Anyway, there's a battle and he gets sent back to
after Bishop. Basically, Bishop is being forced to carry one unconscious mutant that he captured. Wolverine's carrying the other, and they're about to go to their grave, and they walk past the X-Men's graves.
Yeah.
And you see that Jubilee was the first to die. She died in 2010.
Yeah. And then the rest of them went in like 2020, 2023, 2024.
Yeah.
And then God, what was I going to say? Anyway, so where did they go after their TR?
Well,
You got a better memory than me.
They managed to destroy the Sentinels that were taking them to their inevitable end.
Yeah.
And that's when they get to Forge. And as Bishop is jumping through, Nimrod shows up.
Yeah.
That was sort of the thing that I was jumping back for because we'd missed that.
Oh yeah,
Nimrod shows up right as Bishop is going through the portal, the time, whatever.
And
thing.
we didn't know that. I mean, we don't know this yet, but Nimrod can time travel, right?
I guess apparently I don't know. I'm not a big X-Men.
So
guy.
I'll have to look this up, but I want to say that he can time travel. So, but in this, we don't know if he just used the same.
He did. He went through the same portal. They say it.
Okay.
Yep.
So anyway,
So
Bishop finds modern day X-Men or
he finds
present day X-Men.
Yeah, he finds the X-Men and he tells them he's from the future. They don't believe him.
Yep.
And so they have him captured, and then
they put him on Cerebro, and Xavier sits down with him. He sees all these snippets of the future, and he gets a good picture of what's going on in 2055 or that led up to that year.
Right. He sees all of these horrible events.
Yeah. And so he knows that Bishop is there on the up and up, that he's not there just to murder them for murdering them. He's telling the truth why he's there.
Right. But Wolverine doesn't just accept that.
No. And then in comes Rogue. She comes walking in.
No, that's later.
Okay, that's later.
Yep. So first, Bishop gets an alarm on his transponder thingy that keeps him in the 90s.
Yeah.
That keeps him from going back to 2055.
Yeah.
And it's an alarm that something went through the door, and that was Nimrod.
Oh, yeah. So Nimrod shows up, and he's like, oh, my God, you guys, it's Nimrod. This is not, we cannot.
Yeah, basically, we're
take him on. Yeah.
And so Professor X, a new Sentinel, and, he explains it's from my time. And after this huge battle of just it kind of whipping the X-Men's ass, Storm whips up Arctic, freezes, Arctic winds.
Wolverine gets it into the pool, and then Storm freezes it, and then they just blast it to hell. And they think it's done, but it's the circuitry of it starts crawling back towards itself.
Right. It starts reforming itself.
Yeah. So Bishop sent it back into the future.
Right. What Bishop did is, as it was reforming, he found the transponder that was located in its head, and he shot it.
Yep.
So that way Nimrod was forced back into 2055.
Do you think that for such a powerful villain and such a big foe for the X-Men, why doesn't it look more, I don't know, creative? It's so boring to me.
That really is how Nimrod looks in the comics.
Just
too,
this flat white, I mean, not that everything has to be like the Terminator, but T-1000 was a freaking cool robot.
Yeah. And this, I will say the design is
and it came out the same fucking year, 1992.
Yeah. The design of it isn't great, but it's true to the comics.
Mm-hmm.
I've never understood the name Nimrod either. It doesn't make any sense. Like,
okay,
it's from the biblical Nimrod.
It's from the Bible. Nimrod was a king that hunted, and that he was a hunter, and he defied God. And so the name Nimrod is because of their hunter nature, right? They're hunting down the mutants.
Right. Yeah, it's a biblical reference, not the hey, you Nimrod.
Yeah, no, it's
not the insult.
It's a king. It's a name after a biblical king during early Mesopotamian time.
A whole mess of it.
A whole Mesopotamia of it.
That would make more sense.
Anyway.
But yeah, I'm totally with you on the design. It's terrible. And then that was also one thing about like the one thing that the movie got right more than the book and more than the animated series is like technology doesn't stop just because the world quote unquote ended. Like, so in the Days of Future Past movie, the Sentinels have become, like you said, more like the T-1000, where the liquid metal, you know what I mean? They've become more technologically advanced as time moves on because technology doesn't stop just because things ended. It keeps going because it keeps progressing and going further and further and further, and these Sentinels would have gotten more badass and more lethal and more unstoppable, and they're like the same versions of 1992.
They do.
Like,
they look
the
identical.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing. So in Hickman's run of X-Men right now, during the House of X stuff, they did a lot of talk about Nimrod and the Sentinels in the future. Remember, there's that easy bake oven.
Mold.
Yeah, the mother mold. That's what it's called. So I mean, they're still on that. I mean, Hickman's going to bring that back soon. I know he is.
Well, and then at one point, Nimrod and a mother mold like combined essences and turned into a new villain, and I can't remember that villain's name.
Yeah.
JP?
Super Nimrod. No, I'm just kidding.
Super Nimrod. Yeah, I agree with you though, JP. For the longest time, it was driving me nuts. Why would they would give this, supposedly big badass, this stupid name of Nimrod?
Yeah.
So I did a little research a while ago. But
That makes more sense.
yeah, so
Still a dumb name.
yeah, I agree. So I was gonna say Forge again, but Bishop is freaking out
Hey, boy.
that when they find out that Nimrod came through the door after him.
Right. He flips out because he knows how powerful Nimrod is. And when they all show up to start fighting Nimrod, like eventually, because Storm uses the coldest wind she can get, that's how they crack through its carapace or its armor or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Summon the Arctic wind.
God, that drives me bonkers how she talks. She doesn't need to talk to anything. Her powers do not rely on her voice. She can just do it without having to sound so damn dramatic.
I summon the lightning of the sky.
I'm like, I get so annoyed during those scenes. I just look at her costume. Like I get bored. So I'm looking at other things going, I wonder how her cape really suits her for flying like that,
Like, do you think it pulls to the right sometimes?
I don't
Like she
know.
has to adjust the cape.
I wonder, does she get caught up in it because it's like it hooks to one wrist and then hooks to her back, and then the other wrist. It's like long sleeve thing. I don't know, but so Storm has her part in taking out Nimrod. They shoot it. They send it back to the future.
Send it back. And that's when finally pretty much everybody in the X-Men decide, okay, this guy is on the up and up.
Yeah.
Yeah, except for Wolverine's like, I still don't buy it. It's like, okay, dude.
So they go back to the mansion and they're talking to Bishop about his mission, and he's remembering, there's an assassin that I need to stop, and they can't not prevent this future, basically, is the whole point.
Yeah.
And Rogue shows up, and oh god, you guys are real serious looking. And Gambit shows up, and it's you. Bishop freaks out, points the gun at him, and pulls the trigger, and to be continued.
Yep. Dun dun dun. And it's crazy because Gambit so far hasn't even been involved in any of this.
Right.
He's been trying to, if we remember the last episode, he's been trying to get Rogue to
bang
him and be well, yeah. He keeps saying he doesn't care about her sucking his life. Right?
No, he does care about that. Actually, that's quite the reverse. He does care about her sucking his life.
Heyo. Anyway, so
he actually wants that. I don't know where you're.
So
I don't know what show you're watching.
If we remember the last episode, she didn't want her powers anymore. So they're still together. They're hanging out together a lot. So they pull back up in the car that they took off in before.
And I will point out, the first time we see Rogue in this car, it was not a stick shift. This time it is.
And it's the same damn car.
It is.
Yeah. So
I'm eating Pez, by the way.
Yeah, let's talk about this. Let's take a little break. So right before the show started, I gave TR a Wonder Woman Pez dispenser that I found at our local convenience store. I know TR is a huge Wonder Woman fan.
Yeah.
And she was just staring me in the face saying, buy me.
And I already went through one of the Pez
I know. And so I don't know if you can tell JP, he's just gobbling these things up.
Oh, I've seen it. Dude, yeah. Pez is, I mean, it's awesome. It's just hardened sugar. Like,
You know what? They were originally created to help you quit smoking.
Were they really?
Yep.
Yeah, it's like an oral fixation thing.
Yep.
Did they originally have dispensers like that?
Yes.
And they were always, were they at one time more serious? I mean, for the adults trying to quit smoking.
Yeah.
They weren't kiddie things like that, right?
Right.
It was, I mean, the design hasn't really changed that much for the dispenser, though. It's I mean, that design is pretty much tried and true.
Yeah.
Ever since its inception, it's been like that flip push lid thing. So
yeah. Well, I was looking around.
Very, brilliant design.
I'm looking at all your stuff in here, and you only have a Joker dispenser, and Wonder Woman being your favorite character, you needed one.
Yeah, definitely.
So
and I guess I needed a severed tongue tree ornament.
Well, that one's more of a threat than a present.
So
a threat.
Since we're on to odd things, I brought something TR that JP gave me when I was in the store.
Okay.
So I don't collect football cards. So when he handed me this football card, I'm like, guess you don't know me very well. But for the Minnesota Golden Gophers, wide receiver Tyler Johnson.
That is fantastic.
Can you get in there?
Yeah.
Tyler Johnson, man.
Yep, Tyler Johnson. It's his rookie card for last year.
And is that you?
Yeah.
For those of you that can't,
that dude is black.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, for those of you that are just listening to the podcast,
That dude
he's
is
black.
Dude, I am the whitest white boy ever. But anyway, let's get back to what we're talking about.
Yeah, so that was the end of the first episode of the two-parter, Days of Future Past. So when it comes back, episode 2 pretty much picks up from the same place. Is Bishop freaks out when he sees Gambit.
Yeah. Would you mind just talking for a minute? My wife texted me, and it sounds like I have to respond here.
Okay.
So just you guys go on, TR.
Sure.
I got to respond to her, and I'll be right back on.
Okay. So, excuse me. So, Bishop really, really super hardcore wants to kill Gambit, and everybody keeps pulling him off him, and eventually they start talking, and okay, so it's Gambit that does the assassination.
Yeah.
The second he saw him, he remembered. So Gambit is, of course, freaking out.
Pissed.
He doesn't believe that he's from the future.
He walks in. Listen. If you were in Gambit's spot, you're coming in behind this chick. Like, you've been trying really hard, so you're in this good mood. You like Rogue, right?
Yeah.
And it's been obvious that he's been trying his best to get her to
put out,
or even in the very least go out with him, right? And then so he's in a good mood. They just get back to the X mansion after being off together. She walks in a room, she's like being all fun, He comes in behind her, and immediately as a gun is pulled on him, fired, and then all of a sudden he's in a fight where the guy's accusing him of being an assassin in the future.
Right.
Yeah.
I would be just irate, and it sounds like he is.
Yeah. So Gambit took this as well as I think anyone would, which is sort of a, hey, fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's for
Who
trying
the
to
hell
kill me.
are you?
Yeah.
Future man.
So eventually, Gambit ends up running away.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
He just, not running, he stalks away.
Yeah.
Once the fight's over. And then immediately, though, Bishop is on his tail.
Right. And so what Gambit is doing is he's going to DC because he wants to stop the assassination that he's positive he has nothing to do with. Bishop wants to stop the assassination by killing Gambit.
Yeah.
Because he's absolutely positive that this is Gambit. So there's a whole bunch of back and forth like that of, who's telling the truth? How could he do it? No, he couldn't really do it. And in the end, we find,
this should have been obvious from the beginning when they accused Gambit. But do we want to spoil it? Who is the assassin? It's Mystique.
It's Mystique
as Gambit.
Right. And
oh shit.
Yeah. And the whole point of this specific assassination is she wanted a witness. So she had a witness there specifically for that purpose who had been blindfolded.
Yeah.
Takes the blindfold off after she turns into, Gambit. And she says, let this, you tell everybody this is a message for anyone who messes with Gambit and the X-Men.
Yeah. And so this is the event that kicks off this crazy future and
we find out that not only did the Sentinels go after the mutants, but the guys who controlled the Sentinels eventually said, fuck it, we're taking over the government.
Right. And they just took over everything.
Yeah, they took over humanity.
Yeah, this new world order.
This guy greedy, man. This guy greedy.
So
they asked for a recount.
Oh man, I don't even want to get into that.
I'm just gonna say this: I could watch him lose over and over again.
They asked for a recount. Ain't real.
I do miss the major news networks focusing on him because I want to know what kind of mental state he's in right now.
Yeah,
I'm following his Twitter just for the craziness of it.
Yeah.
But
there's bigger things to worry about now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so
it's Mystique, and she was sent there by order of Apocalypse to give humanity the future it deserved in his eyes. This was to punish humanity.
Yeah.
Which is no future. That's not a future.
So we just don't really get the full scope though of like in the comic books.
Right.
Apocalypse is a dick.
Yeah, for sure. We already saw that in the last episode where he was
making
making slaves of mutants.
He's such a dick. But like he also makes mediocre horsemen too. So
yeah. Well, mediocre horsemen. Well, I don't know. We just didn't see a lot of detail in them from last time. I mean, war and I don't remember what the other one was, but
pestilence, famine.
This 2-parter episode also did that, kind of suffered from the same type of thing where like Nimrod is supposed to be this big bad, but like they spend no time explaining him or figuring out who he is. It's just like he just shows up and like, oh no, it's Nimrod. And like the X-Men are like, yeah, so like who
he does.
Who is this guy? No, they're just like, fuck it, fight it, kill it with fire.
Bishop did explain how he's
the advanced Sentinel from his time. But the thing is, this is a kids show and it's a network TV show, so you're gonna call it half an hour, but it's really gonna be 22 minutes with commercial breaks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So absolutely. I understand.
To tell this whole story in 44 minutes.
Yeah.
Is absolutely crazy. I think they did a fantastic job of it.
Yeah, it's very good. Now, when they discover it's Mystique, that's where we're at. She and Rogue come up with this plan where Rogue is going to let her go. And because
Mystique that was actually after. So what happens is Rogue shows up and she is...
That was your dog.
Okay.
Yes,
I heard something weird.
She got her ball under the bookshelf down here.
Fun. She'll get it.
Okay.
But so Gambit shows up.
Yeah.
And he's going to fight the other Gambit, Mystique, and he's winning, but then Bishop shows up and is basically, oh, you know what? It's too risky to let either of you live. I'm going to kill both of you.
Yeah.
That's when
solid plan.
Yeah. Yeah. No one could fault him for that at all. So he's getting ready to kill both of them when Rogue grabs his transponder and breaks it.
Yeah.
Sending him back to 2055.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes back and everything is still the same.
Yeah.
Except, and I don't know if you cats picked up on this, Wolverine wasn't so much alive as he was a skeleton
I saw
in
that.
a jar.
Yeah, he's in the tank, man.
Okay, so at this point, the way this new future is setting up, Wolverine his skeleton is hanging in a vat of, what do they call it in Star Wars?
Bacta.
Bacta tank.
Yep. So back in the 90s though, Rogue knows Mystique from earlier because Mystique plays the role of her mother.
Right. So it turns out the reason that Mystique gets away is because Rogue takes her away. She shapeshifts into some random woman that we don't know.
Yeah.
And Rogue all of a sudden, Mama? And we find out that Mystique in that form actually adopted Rogue.
See, yeah, that's crazy because that's such a monumental thing, and it's about 20 seconds in the episode.
Right. And the thing is, there's no action in that part of the story.
No.
So it would, to take up a whole lot of time in a children's TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to bring so much emotion there.
I'm surprised they kept it in then, you know?
Well, they had to give a reason for they had to have a way for Mystique to escape.
It's true. So then we cut to, is it right after that we go to Xavier again, where the end of the episode where dun 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 leaves on a cliffhanger, right?
Well, yeah. So when Bishop gets back to his time, he's talking to Forge and he's saying it didn't work.
Yeah.
Everything's still the same. And Forge goes, well, we'll keep trying as many times as we have to.
Yeah.
And then Xavier we find out the assassination was going to be against Senator Kelly.
Yeah.
And he gets to where everyone had been, and there's this massive hole in the wall.
Yep.
Senator Kelly's gone. There's nobody there. The office is all just messed up. And he's like, he immediately knows who did it because his watch stopped.
Yeah.
And no one understands. So he drops his watch and it
floats.
clings.
Yeah. So it's Magneto. And we don't see Magneto. The episode ends.
Right.
Now here's the thing. What is Magneto going to do with Kelly? If you remember from X-Men, the original X-Men movie, they turn him into a mutant.
Right.
Yeah.
But anyway,
and kind of a freaky looking one too.
Yeah, it was kind of gross.
And yeah, he was like a watery blob.
So here we are. Conclusion. Next episode. End of first season of X-Men. Now this is a point I want to ask you guys. Are you guys up for continuing on after season 1?
I am. I'm actually wanting to, because these episodes were really actually good. These were still enjoyable as an adult.
I did not watch this episode and think of things to make fun of it. I watched it for the story.
I genuinely liked it, and to have, despite all the limitations, for them to do so faithful an adaptation of this story for a children's TV show.
That's what I was going to ask you. What did you think of the adaptation versus the comic story?
I think it kept the absolute feel of the comic.
Yeah, I think the comic book had more weight to it.
Yeah, but remember, this is a children's TV show.
Yeah. You know, it felt like more was at stake in the comic book. Like I don't know.
Yeah, they can only do so much. I mean, they kept showing the graves of the X-Men.
Yeah.
That was the big thing that, that was to drive it home for people watching at home, was showing when the X-Men died, and that, it was because Senator Kelly was assassinated.
Yeah. So, I mean, the reason that the future didn't change that much, except for Wolverine, is because Senator Kelly was eventually assassinated anyway.
Right.
So the attempt that they made, no big deal. I mean, no big deal. It didn't change much. But now we find out that maybe it didn't change because Magneto's trying now,
Right. So we don't know what Magneto's plan is with Kelly. We don't know what's going to happen because of it. All we know is whatever his plan is going to leave the future mostly the same, except now Wolverine's dead.
Yeah. So what do you think of this version and the movie Days of Future Past?
The movie was different because
the plot was different.
Yeah. And they had to shoehorn Hugh Jackman in as much as possible.
Yeah.
I thought the movie was really well done. I thought they really nailed it with the movie. I think...
You do think so?
Yeah, I think the movie that they did for this was pretty well done.
Yeah.
I think you got the weight of, especially when you're seeing so many of them die at the beginning.
Yeah.
When they're first sending Wolverine back.
Yep.
And I think having it tie in with First Class and everything like that, the way they did it.
The movie's just way better than anything they've done for adaptations of this story, 100%. Because it not only represented the story and talked about, you talk about the gravity of everything and all that.
Yep.
And it represented all that, but it also helped them reset their own timeline without fucking everything up, because now they're just like, nope, X3 didn't happen.
Yeah.
It was like, out of there.
It's not, I mean? Yeah, it makes sense.
Everything bad that they did, they just wiped it. It was a complete time redo, and they completely wiped the slate clean for X-Men. And it was perfect all around movie for everybody.
I just didn't understand why in X-Men Origins, why they didn't do characters like Deadpool correctly. Why did they do him with his mouth stitched? Why did they? Sure. You know what I mean? Luckily, they did a reboot like Days of Future Past, so they could do a Daredevil. So they could do a Deadpool series, and Ryan Reynolds could actually have make a character out of it.
Yeah.
And yeah. But anyway,
it's just, these are guys who don't read comics. They're just executives in a room like, oh, this would be cool, this would be funny, and blah, 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 blah. So they don't get it. They don't get it like comic people do. So, but
I think they were trying to make Deadpool scarier. Like when he's
in that movie,
when he's silent, this guy that just silently keeps coming after you. It's freaky. You can't reason with him. You can't. I think that's what they were trying to go for, but that's just never been who Deadpool was.
In no version or story has Deadpool ever been this silent assassin.
Right.
He's always been over the top, sillier than Spider-Man, but deadly.
Yeah.
Right. And
Merc with the mouth.
Yeah, and I get it why eventually he had his mouth sewn shut, like, because he would he ran his mouth to him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Okay, great, but I
Nah,
don't know.
it's just stupid.
Yeah.
It's just stupid.
So anyway, luckily, Days of Future Past proved to be very beneficial for Fox.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the hell's happening with that franchise now.
Well, doesn't Disney own? Don't they own the X-Men rights?
They got it now.
Yeah, good. What's the?
They got it now. They'll get X-Men eventually, but they're gonna do. I mean, they're just gonna use their own playbook. I mean, all you gotta do is just build up the thing again. You start with a base movie, and then you start building the bricks, and they're gonna do exactly what they did. First, they did Iron Man, see how successful that was. Then they did Thor. Then they did this. And they made sure that the movie's connected in some certain way, shape, or form. Each of these directors was given a lot of power for those movies. Of like, hey, you can do whatever you want, but at the beginning of your movie, your characters need to be here, and by the end of your flick, the characters need to be here, and you need to figure it out from your 120 minutes in the middle. Do whatever, as long as these story beats happen and we can connect them. Cool beans.
And that would be Kevin Feige's job to make sure everything worked. And now bringing him into comic books has been huge. I mean, I feel as a reader that I can tell that they're working very hard for continuity throughout Marvel, not just throughout the X-Men titles, not just throughout Spider-Man titles, whatever, but as a whole. Even the last two events, the Carnage one and then the Plant one right before that. What was that called? Empire. Yeah. Right. It was a Marvel-wide thing. And the only bad part was COVID hit and some of the issues were out of order.
Yeah, there was a little bit of wonkiness in chronology just because of COVID. Yeah, but that can't be helped.
But here's the thing. DC, Batman and Detective Comics sometimes aren't even in sync with each other.
Yeah.
It's like there's no way Batman could be there versus there,
Yeah. And it's so weird to me that they have so many Batman comics right now.
Yeah. Like, and then supposedly Batman is doing all this. I mean, in my head, I love continuity. I don't particularly care for the you have no idea when this is taking place story. And so when there's 3 Batman titles going on, it really bothers me because I'm like, is this all congruent or don't they care? Or is each story, you don't have to worry about the other one? Ugh.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
the easy answer is they don't care.
They don't care. No. And it shows. I mean, that's why DC is dying, because fans don't want to read that shit. I mean, they don't want to read. They want Batman, sure, and they'll take all the Batman titles, but they have to work together.
It seems like their strategy recently has been pump out as much crap as you can as fast as you can.
As much Batman crap.
Yeah.
Or Joker. Or
yeah, and so the Joker, it's been announced that the Joker is getting his own series again.
Yeah.
I love the Joker. I own in trade paperback, and I own an original printing of the first issue of the Clown Prince of Crime series, his first solo series.
Is that what it was called?
Yeah. I love it. I don't need more of it right now.
No.
There's been so goddamn much Joker. We just got done with Joker War and 3 Jokers.
Yeah.
Like, we just got done with that. There are so many other villains that are getting underused. And I think, they can do so much great stuff with Bane.
They don't care. Well, they just blew their chance with Bane when fucking, what's his name, dude did this huge Bane story, the City of Bane, and there was really no story there. It took 2 years of reading through Batman and Detective to flush this story out. I mean, and then he was fired. Tom King was fired over it.
Yep.
It just made no sense, and there was no payoff.
Yeah, and it just, and even if there were a payoff, you have to work and so much to get it that it's not fun. And comics are supposed to be fun. This is supposed to be a good escape.
Yeah, but supposedly I don't know. But you're right, Bane would be a good one. But the reason they're not doing it is because of the success of the Joker movie. Putting out Joker comics is keeping them afloat right now.
Well, they're not interested in making comics for you guys, and they're not interested in making comics for me. They're interested in making comics that make money, and that's the wrong way to go about it, because then you have guys making top decisions who don't love the media and don't love the art form and don't love the comics, making business decisions as a money thing. It's not a how do we treat our fans this week, and how do we treat what are we going to give our fans next year to really be excited about? It's how much money can we make next year by how many Batman, Joker, and things we can put out to guarantee sales. You know,
Hey guys,
that's
make sure you
that's
throw
their biggest
Harley in
problem.
there a whole bunch.
Yeah, and then Punchline,
Yeah,
Harley too. I keep calling her.
Marvel is lucky to have Disney, the money horse on their back, backing them up, so they have a little bit more leeway
And
to
they
do what they
actually
want.
care. The thing is, AT&T absolutely could make DC a priority and make it good.
They could, but Marvel did not.
Why would they want to, though? That would cost them millions of dollars.
DC did not make Marvel a priority when they bought them. They brought them out of bankruptcy, sure, but they let them continue to publish. But it wasn't until several years later, before when Iron Man was put out, and then the success of Iron Man, then they poured a lot more money into hiring the writers and the artists to make Marvel what it once was.
Right.
Well, once you have a successful movie franchise and a successful fan base that big, then you can start to really concentrate your resources on the comic side. DC has yet to have a truly stellar movie, aside from Wonder Woman.
I'm positive that the Snyder Cut will fix everything. The Snyder Cut of Justice League will fix everything.
Not gonna fix shit.
Ugh. If you're on Twitter, there are the Snyder Cut stands that, it's going to be perfect. By the way, if you are on Twitter, go ahead and give us a follow. We're at Grab Comics.
Also,
Snyder Cut's just going to be another stroke piece from Zack Snyder about the comic books that he loves and all that, and that's fine. I mean, 300 is a great movie. You know what I mean? Like Watchmen is a great movie. They're great adaptations of the source material. But he's always struggled he's always struggled to make films, especially as comic book films, when he doesn't have a source material to copy. He just reads what he reads what he reads, and then he just tries to jam pack 3 different storylines into one movie.
Yeah,
and there's where Batman Superman went wrong. That's where Justice League went wrong, and Justice League is shot backwards. Basically, it's like you see the end game in the beginning. It's stupid.
Yeah.
The Green Lantern.
And also, supposedly, it's going to be like 4 hours long.
It'll be 1 hour a piece, episodic on HBO Max.
Anyone have that? Do you have HBO Max?
I do, as a matter of fact.
Do you like it?
I do.
Well, they have great content, and their slate of movies for 2021 all are coming to it. So
yeah, it's got a lot of great content. The problem is it's in that. Remember when Disney Plus first started and it wasn't working so great?
Yeah,
that's what HBO Max is still in.
Oh, hey, before we sign off, guys, I would like to. I read a comic this week that's gonna bring me back to independent comic books. Did you guys read the new We Live?
I didn't. I bought it, but I haven't read it yet.
JP, did you read it yet?
We Live is one of my favorites.
Yes, 100%. This issue blew me away today when I read it right before coming to the show. I knew I wanted to talk about it because I really loved issues 1 and 2, but we got a lot more backstory as to why we're at this point where the people have to leave Earth.
Sure.
Do you want to be spoiled, or would you prefer?
Doesn't bother me.
Okay, at the end, when they get to the launch site, they get there and they get there secretly, so like nobody can see that they're watching the launch site to see what's going on. And the kids that have made their way to the launch site, they're being held at gunpoint, and then the last frame is them getting their heads blown. Right, the people that shot them are going to steal their arm things and
shit.
Yep.
So they can.
Yeah, so basically, all the kids that are making their way to the launch thing, they're walking into a giant trap.
Okay.
So, what do you think, JP? Did you like it? This issue?
I love this comic book. It's consistently surprising. It has those oh shit moments that really make you love comics again. Like in issue number 2, where that old guy gets killed by the tiger creatures or the lion creatures. It's just like, dude, this was our guy. This was the badass. This was our trustee. He's like gonna make sure we get there. Then all of a sudden, in one frame, he's gone. You're just like, oh my god, what's happening? So,
and then in this issue, we got about half of it is backstory as to really the kind of, and it turns out it's kind of a zombie plant. I guess I would call it vegetation, because once they're infected, they have to root themselves to the earth for the nutrients in the earth.
Okay.
Kind of, or to be connected as a hive mind kind of thing.
Okay.
That's what it is. And then the body, the human host body eventually withers and dies, but if the person doesn't connect to the ground within 24 hours, the body will just deteriorate and just die. But they were able to keep one specimen alive, not connected to the ground, from the backstory all the way to present time. And it's just this crazy like plant monster thing.
Huh.
You got to read it. You definitely got to read it.
It's awesome.
The
only other book I would, sorry to interrupt you. The only other book I would say give a chance this week is Post Americana. It's your dystopian book of the week, but it tackles dystopia a little bit differently. It's like Quentin Tarantino made Fallout, so it was really awesome.
Yeah. I was paging through it. I really liked the artwork, but it came down to a money choice. Like, okay, do I need this book or do I want this one?
Yeah, if you can afford to grab it, grab it. If you have a choice between We Live and Post Americana, grab We Live. But Post Americana was something new. I had no idea about it. I read it and was gleefully enjoying it after it was over. I was like, this is awesome.
Aftershock is who put out We Live. It's the Miranda brothers. And then the coloring was done by Eva De La Cruz, and I've been following her Facebook for quite a while. So I kind of like did a double take because I'm like, I know that name, and then I'm like, oh, sure enough, on the Smash and Grab we follow Eva De La Cruz. Sure. So
nice.
Anywho, anything else going on, guys, before we hit the road?
Well, we should let people know that we do take a winter break hiatus.
Oh, this is the episode that we end the year on. I completely forgot about that. Anyway, guys, we're gonna be gone. We're gonna be gone for about two weeks. We'll be back in 3, I think.
Yeah. Take our holiday break, New Year's break. Yep.
Yeah, and TR and I are been chatting tonight about like ways that we're going to kind of improve content. So when we come back, we have a better produced show for everybody. Yeah, JP is at his home, but TR put on one of the cameras on one of us. You can see the room that we're in. We're really trying hard to turn this into something tangible, right?
Yeah.
We want to see where this thing goes. So if you want to support our podcast, go to our Facebook page, Smash and Grab Comics, go to our Instagram,
check out our YouTube
page, listen to this podcast. If you're watching us on YouTube and you want to listen in your car, download the podcast.
Yep.
All right. So guys, for Smash and Grab Comics, this is Tyler.
I'm TR.
He's TR.
I'm JP.
All right, guys. We'll see you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.